Hello, Dave Morelli here. Today I'm gonna fit this lock. This is an LNR lock. That's a pretty cool lock. It's a little tight around the edges, so I'm gonna take it apart and I'm gonna fit the plate first. And then what I do is I slowly put parts on that are to make it deeper, and I keep trying it, and then when I'm finished with it, it'll fit in just right. So I'm going to take it apart. I use a different bench, and I put the parts in a little box or a little magnetic deal. I put it on this bench back here. This is kind of in the back of the shop. The people that come in the shop, they have a habit of moving stuff around, and I put it in a certain place because I know it goes back that way kind of guy. So I put it back here out of where other people won't get into it. So let's get this baby apart. Always try to pick the best fitting screwdriver. You will booger up screws if you don't. I know that one works for that. And this caulk sometimes will take just a little bit of maneuvering to get it to start, and then it'll come off. That's off. Now we have this. We've got to take the spring off. It's really helpful to have a spring vise to do this. And if you have the hammer down, it actually comes off kind of easy. Just got to get enough tension off of it so you can work it out of there. So the last one I took apart come right apart. I just leave it right in that vise. You got a little spring here for the frizzen, and that's usually, if the frizzen's up, that usually won't go flying into orbit. I leave the screw that goes right in there. Then we want to get the frizzen off next, and it's not very tight. Again, I put that screw right in there where it goes. Okay, the next will be this saddle. Let's give you a little better look. Nothing else is under spring tension. Well, there is a sear spring right here, but it's not under any tension either. Take mine to the order you put them, take them off, because that's the order you're going to put them back. Oh, that baby's tight. Okay, this is actually two parts. There's this part here, and there's the sear. If you take them apart, if you leave them together, this little spring thing can come off. If you leave them together, there's a thing in there called a fly. It's this thing right here. It has to go back in. I don't know if you can see it. It's this thing right here. It has to go back in the same way with the angle on it this way. I just put that thing and I leave this together. There's no reason to have to take it apart right now, and I set that in there, and that's out of the way. Then I don't have to worry about that fly losing it. It's a really tiny part. What it does is it allows, and then we got this is the sear spring. What it does is it lets the hammer go forward past half cock. Okay, so let's go out in the main shop and start putting this in the wood. One thing I like to do before I start fitting the wood is I take a file, and there's sometimes, this is a cast part, so sometimes there's some bumps on it, and I like to knock all them bumps off. And I file with an angle. This is the outside, this is the inside. I like to file with an angle slightly this way, so it'll slip down in there. And this one has a few edgy type things on it. And bumps. These bumps got to come off. Take a little chisel work right here, just a little. And there. Once we get it flat, then we can start working this edge here so it fits up against the side of the barrel. That's important. So it's another one of them, a little tiny bit at a time. Very small amount of wood. It's all that has to come off at first. Okay. This one has a little bit of a rounded surface, so I'm going to work that way. And this way. And I've got, like I say, I took off like 2 slivers of wood, nothing big. And that's getting it to start to come down. Probably the top of this, once I get this area and this area to slide in, the top of this edge here is going to have to come down. I'm going to try to get you a better angle. It has to come off, and where it doesn't. And sometimes you have to really study it to figure out which side you're going to take it off. On this one, I took a little bit off of this bottom right here, and I tapped it in. I've got it now where I can start going to my lamp black. Because if you put lamp black on too early, it just makes a mark at the top. So once I get it laid in there, then I can put my lamp black on. And then we'll see where it's hitting inside, and we can chip by chip get it out of there. The biggest thing is going to be, I'm going to have to move this a little in the vise. The biggest thing is going to be taking this piece of wood down right here, so that the bolster actually touches the barrel. You don't want a gap between that bolster and the barrel, because powder will get down in there when you sprinkle it in. If there's a gap there, the powder will get down in between the metal and the wood, and that powder will ignite when you shoot. And eventually it might fill this whole area up before it actually discharges, and it'll blow your lock off. So that has to be a tight fit. Okay, let's try that angle on. I've got a couple of, I don't know, you might be able to see what I'm doing a little better from up there. I don't want this, I want it to be a tight fit, but I don't want it to fall out. I want it to fall out easily, because we're going to be taking this in and out quite a bit as we build the rifle. So be very careful. This is like wafer thin that I take off here. Just enough to get the color off. And use your gouge for the round. And get it right down flat to the floor. So this one I have fall in from the top. I put the top in first. So what do you think of this mallet? I made this mallet in 9th grade shop class. Back in the days when they used to teach you how to do shit in school. And That's the only reason I still use it. I've got other wooden mallets that I've bought, but this one's kind of a keepsake. Moon Township, Pennsylvania, Moon High. Okay. Got a little lamp black on there now. At first the metal was, seeing that's still a little too tight. Okay, I guess the sides here are still giving me some problem. It hasn't hit here yet where we got to take it off. So back to the work with the chisels. When I start getting it fitting like that, the chisel work is usually down towards the floor. And the reason being is I didn't get a good enough straight down cut, and it's kind of angled there, so we got to get it to hit the floor first, and then we can, it's not even hitting, the bolster isn't even hitting this piece of wood under the barrel yet. So and then just one sliver at a time. Try to protect your edge. That's going to be your top edge. That's, you don't want to mess that up because that's hard to fix. Okay, let's give her another try. Okay, so now I'm hitting here. I'm hitting the floor here on the edge. Pretty good. I haven't hit the bolster rest yet here. Okay, this is the area I'm talking about right here. It's right between the pan and the barrel face. That wood sticks out a little bit there, and this has to be, this gap is no good, and you want that as tight a fit as you can get. Like I said, if powder doesn't go, it'll, from walking around and moving and stuff, it'll filter down through any kind of crack, especially if you're using 4F. So that's got to stay closed, otherwise that'll fill up with powder and it may ignite. Okay, so now we're hitting the, you can see we're hitting the floor around this edge. We got something hitting there, part of the bolster. And I'm starting to get my hit here on my bolster, so we can start working all that down. Like I say, this floor is going to have to come down too in the high spots. Okay, I think we got her. And when you know it's good, now see, it's a good deep fit, so any of the nicks we got here, they'll all be gone. And we can take this down, and it's about even all the way around. As you start to get dicum on the floor of this edge, and it's not going down, leave that alone, especially if you've got it in there deep anyway, like this one is. And then work this edge and this other edge inside. See here, I got lamp black, metal to metal, metal to metal, metal to metal. That's looking good. I have a little bit here that could come off and a little bit here that could come off, and I think we'll about have it. This edge down here, and then what I do afterwards is I come back and I clean up all the kind of rough chips, but I stay away from the edge because we don't want to make that any bigger. It fits just right now. So I'm going to clean this up and this up here and here, and like I say, we got metal touching here. I think we can get just a little bit more metal touching right here if we take that off. Okay, so we put this back in here. See, it doesn't wobble. It's laying flat, and and I'll do the best I can to let you see this. That, between the barrel and the flash pan, there's, well, I'll get the light to make it work for you. There's no distance it's touching. So that's done. Okay, that's ready to be drilled and tapped and bolted in, and along with the other screws there. Then we can start putting the parts back in and make sure everything fits and doesn't rub wood anywhere, so I have a nice crisp trigger. That's it for this project today. Stay with me. We're going to continue on finishing up this rifle. I'm Dave Morelli. See you next time.